You're listening to this podcast, so I know you've got a curious mind. Here's a helpful fact that you may not know yet. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $900 on average. They make it super simple. Pop over to Progressive.com, answer some questions, and you'll get a quick quote with coverage options tailored to your choices. Plus, you'll see which discounts you may qualify for, like the online quote discount or savings for paying in full. In fact, 99% of Progressive Auto customers earn at least one discount. See if you could save when you switch to Progressive. You'll feel good about making a savvy choice. Visit Progressive.com and see if you can enjoy a little extra cash back. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National average 12-month savings of $946 by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2024 and May 2025. Potential savings will vary.
Girl, winter is so last season. And now spring's got you looking at pictures of tank tops with hungry eyes. Your algorithm is feeding you cutoffs. You're thirsty for the sun on your shoulders. That perfect hang on the patio sundress. Those sandals you can wear all day and all night. And you've had enough of shopping from your couch. Done hoping it looks anything like the picture when you tear open that envelope? It's time for a little in-person spring treat. It's time for a trip to Ross. Work your magic.
With Plan B emergency contraception, we're in control of our future. It's backup birth control you take after unprotected sex that helps prevent pregnancy before it starts. It works by temporarily delaying ovulation, and it won't impact your future fertility. Plan B is available in all 50 U.S. states at all major retailers near you with no ID, prescription, or age requirement needed. Together, we've got this. Follow Plan B on Insta at Plan B One Step to learn more. Use as directed.
Welcome to Academia Unlocked, a special series from BookTok for BookTok, where we take one classic work and explore it through a 4-part literary journey, moving from understanding the text to deep analysis to cultural interpretation, and finally to collective reader meaning. This is Jack.
And I'm Amy, longtime friends, readers, and co-hosts. And between the two of us, we have over 13 years of academic literary training, including bachelor's degrees in creative writing, as well as a master's degree in comparative literature for Jack.
And you too, you got a master's degree.
Just not comparative literature.
Yeah, no, but we're smart.
Our goal with this series is to bring academic-level literary discussion into a space that feels accessible, thoughtful, and genuinely curious, without losing the depth that makes these works so enduring.
Academia Unlocked isn't just about a book, it's about learning how to read, interpret, and question it in new ways. Think of this series as stepping into a guided seminar where we explore not only what a story says, but how and why it continues to resonate across time. Each book is broken into 4 episodes, building on the last. And today is the last episode for our Pride and Prejudice, where we're just going to reflect. We're going to read your thoughts. We're here to chat.
We are here to chat. So this is episode 4 of our discussion, and this is where we put questions out to our listeners before we record. And today we're bringing those responses into the quote-unquote seminar room. Now, if you recall from our earlier episodes, we talk about epistemology. It's hard for us to say every single time.
It'll never be easier.
It will not get easier, even though we're going to continue to say it a lot. But this episode is really about, and this is true of every episode number 4, the way readers interpret the novel is itself an epistemological event. I'm just proud of myself.
Why do you think I'm not talking? I'm not doing this one. It's all you.
What you as the reader takes from reading the novel tells us something about how you read and how you see the world and literature in that context.
Now, before we get into your responses, we want to walk back through what we covered because episode 4 only lands if you remember where we started. And if this is your first episode, why? Go back. What the hell are you doing here? Still love you, but let's consider this your extremely compelling reason to go back and to listen to the other 3 episodes after I just yelled at you. As a reminder, and if anyone's watching, you can see Amy nodding in a very scolding way. So let's go back. Let's all close our eyes and go back to episode 1, which was a literary literacy. We do not make these episodes easy for us. And we start here at a high school level because everyone likes to bitch and complain that there's a literacy problem. And we're just like, fine, we'll fix it then. You happy? And literary literacy is basically you're just reading the text as is. We establish the foundational thesis. Pride and Prejudice is not primarily a romance. It's a novel about how intelligent people misjudge reality. We then cover the social world, reminding everyone what the Regency world was like, that in Regency era, marriage was essentially economy. It's how money was handled, and the Bennets really show that, and why Mrs. Bennet's anxiety is very compelling and rational and reasonable for the time and for the realistic area, that like financial situation that they were all in, which Elizabeth loved to not really remember. We also introduce free indirect discourse. And that is how Austen aligns us with Elizabeth's perspective without ever telling us to trust it. Basically, that's a fancy way of saying an unreliable narrator. But sometimes people just don't like us saying unreliable narrator because they're like, you say that all the time. And it's like, because
all narrators are unreliable.
It's fiction. And one of the episodes I said the only reliable narrator we get is the dictionary. We also then build the character ecosystem. So that's us saying, okay, which of these characters sees the situation clearly, who mistakes charm for integrity, and who uses wit as a shield. This is a lot of finger pointing to Elizabeth right now. The main takeaway that we walked away from episode 1 is that Elizabeth is not always right, and that the novel is designed to make you forget that specifically. Going to come back to that quote we kept referencing, quote, "Till this moment, I never knew myself." Elizabeth realizes that she never knew herself. We, the reader, must remember we never knew Elizabeth as well.
That wraps up episode 1. Episode 2 is where we handed you actual literary analysis tools, and that helps readers go from understanding the novel to interpreting it. And those are two very, very different things. We introduced epistemology as the primary lens, which means, or if you don't recall, how do characters and readers form knowledge? That's what epistemological or epistemology. I always pause because I can't remember where the emphasis goes.
Also, isn't there religion? Epistles? Episticatarians? I don't know.
Epistles are letters.
No, but there's a church, like an offshoot of Christian. It's another.
No, episcopal. That's a little different. But similar etymology, yes.
Yeah.
It's very confusing, guys. So in episode 2, we also did a deep dive into free indirect discourse as a technical tool and how Jane Austen uses Elizabeth's biased perception to look like objective narration so that we are fooled into trusting her. We also talked about the 4 different spaces of the novel, or settings: Meryton, Netherfield, Rosings, and Pemberley. And each one is its own psychological argument, or it is a reflection of some form of psychology. We also looked at Pride and Prejudice through 4 literary lenses, including feminist, Marxist, psychoanalytical, and epistemological.
I'm so happy that this is not me.
She did it on purpose, guys. She made sure I had to say every version of this word.
Yeah.
The key takeaway from episode 2 was that love in this novel is not the cause of moral growth. It is the reward for moral growth.
Then we had episode 3 where we talked about the various adaptations of Pride and Prejudice, and honestly, one of the most fun research process that we were a part of. We looked at video adaptations, video being like movie and film, but then we also talked about book fanfics, essentially.
YouTube miniseries.
Retellings, yeah. So we talked about 5 specific adaptations. I feel like there might have been more. We covered a lot. What we really covered was the fact that each adaptation really had a different argument about what the novel is fundamentally about. We showed how each version reimagines both Darcy and Elizabeth and how the combination reveals the adaptation's thesis.
So we first talked about the BBC version, the 6-part miniseries from 1995 that shows symmetrical moral growth between both Darcy and Elizabeth, where both characters are genuinely wrong and both genuinely grow.
Then we talked about the 2005 Keira Knightley version, where the film was focusing on overwhelming romantic feelings and that Elizabeth is essentially right and Darcy is devastating in so many ways, romantically. I mean, he is a sib for her in that movie.
It's the female gaze. That's what we all want, right? We also talked about the Latter-day Saint version. Is that what it's called? A Latter-day
Yeah, a Latter-day Saint
story?
movie, yeah.
Or something. Okay.
It's the
Basically,
Mormons.
It's the Mormon version, the version I grew up with, which views love within a values-driven community and restores the emphasis on marriage and the stakes that come with marriage, because that's what that culture is all about.
Also had a very surprising feminist storyline that it stuck with throughout the whole entire thing, which is ahead of its time for the era and the religion.
Yeah. Somebody was trying to subvert.
Somebody was definitely queer in the making of that, because there was a lot of like queer-coded characters and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, you cannot tell me Bingley was not. Yeah, it was funny. Then we had Pride and Prejudice, a Bollywood musical version. That great time. Some of these were fantastic. Making Amy just watched all of these. I mean, making is a very
loose,
willing participant. And the Pride and Prejudice version talked about how love crosses cultural distance, and it really focused a lot on class criticism and how that is a global phenomenon.
And finally, we discussed the Lizzie Bennet Diaries, in which we discuss the limits of self-narration because the format is in a vlog style, which is the literal definition of free and direct discourse.
Did you finish the Lizzie Bennet Diaries?
I did not, but I got through a good chunk of it.
We also covered the entire book variations, genres. You had sequels, perspective shifts, what ifs, and mashups. I think I went through 7 or 8 Pride and Prejudice adaptation books. Fan-fucking-tastic. And the key takeaway of that was that every version reimagines the Darcy that book, that version most needs. And in doing so, reveals what it fears that it can't find, if that makes sense.
Which really struck me because having written my own adaptation of Pride and Prejudice, I was like,
oh yeah,
you're right. The Darcy I wrote is either the version of myself I wish I'd been, or the other comments that I will not make on a public platform.
It is funny. We hadn't even talked about because Amy wrote a queer sapphic adaptation of Pride and Prejudice, modern retelling. How has all of this conversation between literacy, the basics of it, the analysis, and then discussing what each adaptation walked away with, like, what did that do with for you as a writer of a Pride and Prejudice adaptation?
Cue dramatic music and an ad.
Struggling to find the right metabolic wellness support, even when you're doing everything right, has been one of the most frustrating things for me in my health journey.
I've tried other metabolic wellness support providers, and I often feel rejected rather than supported by the process.
That's because Brello is focused on long-term health, longevity, and performance, not quick fixes.
Brello is designed for people who want a more sustainable approach to their metabolic wellness support. Their support helps you focus on habits, education, and structure alongside provider oversight.
Getting my GLP-1 through Brello has been so easy. They make it so effortless, and they provide all the support I need through their app.
Their app is one of a kind in my book because it allows you to track progress, manage reminders, and stay on top of renewals. And if you're like me, managing the renewals is the hardest part.
Everything is managed online, making it easier to stay consistent over time, and medications are delivered to your door. They're so transparent with their pricing with one flat monthly cost. Go to BrelloHealth.com to see if you qualify and explore their GLP-1 plans, starting at $133 per month for your first 3 months, plus access to their app, community, and wellness classes. That's BRELLO health.com.
Any information provided is for informational purposes only and should not be construed as medical advice. It is not a substitute for professional medical consultation, diagnosis, or treatment. All patients must consult with a healthcare provider prior to the prescription or dispensing of any medication, which will be done only pursuant to a valid prescription. Compounded drug products are not FDA approved, and the FDA does not evaluate their safety, effectiveness, or quality. Patients are encouraged to discuss the risks, benefits, and appropriateness of any medications, including compounded products, with their healthcare provider before use. There were certain things that our discussion brought to light about my own story that I was like, yeah, I did write a Darcy that I want in my life. Interesting. Which I guess I shouldn't be surprised. However, I still was. Then it also made me think, oh, there's this other layer of, I think, the moral journey of both Lizzie, or in my book, Elle and Darcy, and how they're both on opposite ends and then they like transition.
Yeah.
Like two ships passing in the night, that I was like, oh, I could do more to explore that as I work on my next draft. So it was very enlightening for me as an author because I do want my adaptation to contribute meaningfully to the conversation, if that makes sense.
I mean, each adaptation brought something different. And that was a very interesting conversation to actually have. You guys can go re-listen to it. Came out last week. I never really truly appreciated why each one was different.
Yeah.
And why it needed to achieve what it needed to achieve, especially. Okay, so I'm going to say something and let's see if it works. The 2005 Keira Knightley version, it made Darcy a total simp, right? And I think in a culture that was just pitting women against each other, right? It's the 2005, like we're coming out of Jessica Simpson versus Mandy Moore versus Britney Spears versus Christina Aguilera, where you had Justin Timberlake who was bragging about having sex with Britney Spears in a culture that really disrespected women at an all-time high. I think that it was a very refreshing take to have like a man who just adored and loved this smart, brilliant woman. And I don't think that was what we were seeing in the culture. And then when you look at the Mormon version, right, the culture is so opposite of like, it's saying like, you must get married, and you have a character that's saying, no, I won't, and it's not even like in the book, Elizabeth isn't even saying she'll never get married. Just like, it's going to be someone that until she loves. The Mormon version, she was like, fuck you, I don't want to get married yet.
Yeah. I got dreams. I'm going to go work on those.
Exactly. So it really took a stance on no marriage. And then the Pride and Prejudice Bollywood version, like it really focused on the culture of globalization. And then and the Lizzie Bennet one, the fact that it was dabbling with what we put out on the internet and how that can come back to bite you is such an interesting theme to have for such an early time in the internet culture and when people were just putting anything out there.
Yep. Yeah. Because it was like 2013, I think.
Yeah. So it's just fascinating where it's like, I think that your Pride and Prejudice will absolutely has its place in the narrative.
I hope so. One day at a time.
Yeah. One day at a time. Someone asked me, they're like, oh, you were there when we saw her. She was like, I was like, oh, we just got back from New York. Like, I'm going to a wedding this week. But like once May hits, and then I stopped and she goes, oh, it'll be more calm. And I'm like, actually not at all. I really think that mid-June is a good time.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah. Amy sent a text saying, oh, let's go do high tea or afternoon tea at the Huntington Gardens. And I wrote back, great, June 20th.
And it was like April 25th.
Yeah. And I like, you're like, what? I'm like, I checked our calendars. We're available then. Shall we go into one of the Instagram questions?
Yes. All right. So we are going to start with our first question, which is about character identity. This is like a classic BuzzFeed quiz situation where we're like, which character are you from Pride and Prejudice? But you know what? It's very revealing. Actually, it's mostly revealing of how you view yourself, but also how you interpret the character. Because let's say, hypothetically, I say Kitty Bennett, I then have to justify to you not only what I think of myself, but what I think of Kitty, and it might not align with what Jack thinks of me or of Kitty.
Do I think you're Kitty?
Do you? I picked randomly.
I thought all of a sudden there was one that popped in my head and I don't agree with it. I was like, Mary. And I'm like, no, I don't agree with it.
Thank you.
You're closest to Charlotte Lucas, I think.
My pragmatism?
I think you use pragmatism as a defense mechanism.
Yeah, I do.
Actually, I don't think. I know you do.
I do.
I resent most when it's directed towards me in my life. Because I'm like, I don't need your pragmatic bullshit to protect me. I'll protect me. But like some of that like pragmatism is there. I think you strive to have the pragmatism of a Charlotte, and I think you have the inner emotions of like a Jane. Where like you don't want to show them off.
Yeah.
You don't want to like put your emotions out there, but like you just a softie.
I'm a Tootsie Pop.
You are. Okay, but let's read what other people are. What other people say.
Yes.
Haley says, Mr. Bennett, I am tired and I want peace and quiet, but I still love the people in my life.
So appreciate that.
Yeah.
I so appreciate that. Virginia says, Elizabeth, I've found the love of my life, but we don't always get along 100% of the time.
It's Manda. It's Manda. They say, Mr. Collins, for I too love boiled potatoes. They are most excellent.
I appreciate that.
I have recently discovered that carbs are in fact good for you, and my love for potatoes
has grown.
Yeah, I mean they were always there, but now it's like a forbidden romance where the forbidden part is gone.
Oh, so it's not as enchanting anymore?
No, it still is. It was forbidden for so many years.
Okay. You're not over the enchantment just yet. From Allison, Darcy, I love my people fiercely, but I am quick to judge others. Also, bad at first impressions.
Miss Tristan says, I want to say Lizzie, but to be honest, probably Mary. Maybe a mix of both, LOL. Oh, and the why is because I'm awkward and have hyperfixations.
You know what? I can identify with Mary in that way. So you're not quite wrong about me, Jack. Sarah.
Sorry, continue.
Sarah and Reagan also agree that they are Mary Bennett. Reagan says, would rather read a book than party. And I agree with that.
Here's when I said Mary, there's like a specific vibe of Mary of just like watching.
Oh, and judging. Yeah. Like a cat.
Yeah.
Like a black cat.
If you got the watching judging of Mary, the pragmatism of Charlotte with the Tootsie Pop and like the soft inner feelings of Jane, that's you.
What a concoction.
And that's our precious Amy. Tabitha says Mr. Darcy because I also another person says Mr. Darcy because they don't like people or social events and they're standoffish.
Yeah, I feel that as well. Laura also said, I missed Laura's, but she said Mary as well because Mary's the one that's always there but always looked over for others.
That's
fascinating. I'm sorry, Laura.
There's like two other ones over here. Another one says from Mary. This is fascinating. I hope you guys all know that we don't overlook you.
No, not at all. Everyone breathe. We'll be right back.
This show is sponsored by Liquid IV.
When I think of spring break, I think of Jack and I senior year Las Vegas. You know what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, but what doesn't stay in Vegas is the hydration our body needs no matter what.
If there's anything that I needed from that trip, it's Liquid IV. And now that I'm older, I really need Liquid IV after going out. I drink Liquid IV's sugar-free hydration multiplier all the time. I'm not even exaggerating.
Liquid IV's hydration multiplier hydrates me better than water alone.
If you're going to Coachella or any music festival, this is the perfect thing to put in your purse because only one stick and 16 ounces of water hydrates faster than water alone. It's powered by LIV, Hydroscience, and an optimized ratio of electrolytes, essential vitamins, and clinically tested nutrients that turn ordinary water into extraordinary hydration.
Compared to water, Liquid IV delivers longer lasting hydration and retains hydration for up to 4 hours. It's backed by a scientific advisory board with world-renowned researchers to conduct clinical research trials.
And for our vegan, gluten-free, dairy-free, soy-free girlies, this is perfect for you.
It's always non-GMO and has delicious sugar-free options like mandarin orange, rainbow sherbet, my favorite, mango pineapple, and more.
Soak up unforgettable memories with on-the-go hydration from Liquid IV. Tear pour, live more. Go to liquidiv.com and get 20% off your first purchase with code BookTok at checkout.
That's 20% off your first purchase with code BookTalk, BookTalk, at liquidiv.com.
Amy, we were just in New York for BookCon, and did you notice that all of the New York girlies were wearing Quince?
You're so right. They were stylish, street appropriate, but also business casual.
It's amazing how I was spotting some of Quince's staple pieces on the street. I can always spot one of their Mongolian cashmeres from a mile away because it's always so soft and so nice. Quince really spends time on making sure they give you the best quality clothing they can with premium materials like 100% European linen, organic cotton, and ultra soft denim.
Their styles make getting dressed simpler. They make me feel effortless, comfortable, and still put together with tops that start at just $30. You can't beat that for work.
Everything at Quince is priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. They work directly with ethical factories and cut out the middlemen, so you're paying for quality and craftsmanship, not brand markup.
Refresh your everyday with luxury you'll actually use. Head to quince.com/booktalk for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada too.
That's QUINCE.com/booktalk, BookTalk, for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/booktalk. This one is from Amber, Lady Catherine, because I too dislike Lizzie and have an overinflated sense of my own talent.
You know what? Self-awareness is key. Lady Catherine did not have self-awareness, so I think you have one up on her.
Yep.
Kolazar said, Mr. Bennett, I too want to be left alone in my library, but also low-key want the town tea. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. When Jack texts me, he's like, do you want tea? I say yes.
Yep.
I want tea.
In Chile, there's slang capucha. So I'll be like, Mama, ¿quieres capucha? And she'll be like, yes. And so half the time it's about me. Okay, do me. Who am I? I hate you. I know you want to say it and you hate yourself for wanting to say it.
I hate myself for wanting to say what I want to say. Okay. So you have the double downness of Lizzie Bennett.
And the humor savviness of it. of her.
And the witticisms of Lizzie and her father. And you have the love of attention of Lydia.
Yep. Yeah.
And maybe the nerves of Mrs. Bennett. Mrs. Bennett.
Like, what?
I'm joking.
Okay.
I'm joking.
I was like, I'm cool as a cucumber.
You were too agreeable. I needed to shake it up.
Spoken like a Mary.
Yeah.
Let's look at the love story. Or was there always something more to the love story? There's always something more, guys. But this is the question we open the whole arc of this book with, and of this podcast series, 4-part series. And I'm genuinely curious to see where, Amy, you landed, and then eventually talking about where our listeners landed. That's because we all come to this novel with a different entry point. Again, we're talking about the love story, the instinct of what people want to say, that the novel's design is to make people think and believe it's a love story. Again, I'm not saying that it's not a love story, but there's obviously a lot more to this than just a love story. But when people read this and, their go-to is just love story, then I think that, it's like you want to be able to flag it. And part of that is discussing like the film adaptations of it. I was surprised to see how many people have not read the book, but they've watched every film adaptation.
Interesting.
My cousin being one of them.
Yeah, that's right. Tony?
Tony, yeah. I was like,
Yeah.
Tony, you had no judgment for anyone not reading it.
Not at all.
I'm just like, with her two obnoxious older sisters and obnoxious older cousin who've read it, like, I'm surprised.
She slipped under the radar somehow.
Yeah, so it's not a matter of like, how could you have not read it, but like, with like the world's most annoying older people in your life, how did you not?
Yeah.
I'll be reporting that to your sisters. Watch, she's gonna just get the sound bite of me calling Evelyn and Dre obnoxious and then sending it to them. But I called myself obnoxious too. But a lot of people really have only watched the film, and by doing that is you're really leaving it open for only a romance interpretation. And again, if like a lot of people who watch the films and then go and read the books, that's what they're also only taking away from that, right? Is that it's a love story. And that's part of how the epistemological trap works.
Yeah, which I don't blame people for thinking it's a love story, because there's a lot of affection out there for the 2005 Keira Knightley movie with Matthew McFadden. Deep lovers of Pride and Prejudice know the 2005 movie adaptation is not very true to the actual book, but it's the one movie adaptation I don't hear people complain about. And I think it's because it tells the love story we didn't actually get in the novel.
Yep.
And it's the love story we crave and we know is happening kind of like off the page. And that's what makes the movie so great, but is so misleading of what's actually happening in the novel.
The movie is so much more romantic than the book.
Yes.
Because the book is so much more focused on their mistakes and how, Elizabeth made mistakes, Darcy made mistakes, and they really have to humble themselves before they get to one another. I'm not saying that the 2005 doesn't have that, but when you have, I love you, I love you, I love you.
I love you.
When you have that, it's hard not to, be sitting there going like, oh my God, I think he loves her. And in the rain, like it takes romance and it just cranks it up to 100. Like if this was a love story, how do we just rev it up? And for many, many people, this movie was their first introduction to Pride and Prejudice.
Yeah. I'm going to make a controversial statement, but maybe not that controversial. I feel like the most recent Wuthering Heights was trying to do what Pride and Prejudice of 2005 did, but it was more kitschy and therefore less successful.
Okay. I'm going to play off of that. I think this is really good conversation that no one else cares about but us. Okay, so you have the 1995 version, right? And that is as close to a T as a adaptation has come, right? And it's very spot on for both of them, Darcy and Elizabeth, having made mistakes. It's set in the time period. It has the time period, correct clothing, everything. Then you have the 2005, which again set in the time period, and people think that it's so similar that it's going to be essentially like the 1995 but condensed, when in actuality it's so much more similar to the LDS version, to Pride and Prejudice, to these other ones where it's its own niche, its own niche, right? It falls into a very specific subcategory. So if like the 1995 version is like the overarching, it's
the standard
of like the closest to the adaptation, I think people put the 2005 in the same level as that,
and it's not.
When it's not. And what the 2005 was is that feral 14-year-old girl, which is what the Wuthering Heights one was like, what's it like if it's a feral 14-year-old girl wrote this? What Wuthering Heights did was make it super kitschy, trying to, take it to the extreme, even borderline camp. This one was like, I think, more true to the feral 14-year-old girl. of romanticizing things as much as they can.
Yes, yes. And I feel like that is especially accomplished in the music.
Yeah.
Right? That is one of the best soundtracks of all time.
Mm-hmm. That's all.
Period. I don't need to say anything else. If Pride and Prejudice in its truest form is in fact not a romance story, at least not to the level that the 2005 Keira Knightley film makes it seem to be, what is the real romance? Is it inherently Elizabeth and Darcy, or is there a different romance that the novel is focused on? And we did ask our readers, we did ask our listeners this question. So I haven't looked at their answers. We're going to read them. Yeah. You might argue, if you wanted to be very academic about it, as I lift my glasses.
Oh.
The real romance is actually between perception and truth. And the way that these two interplay with one another, and the push and pull between them until they can finally come together.
Wow. Want to shove your glasses up your nose a little bit more? Because that was well worth it. Good job, Mary.
Thanks.
So we said, finish the sentence. The real romance in Pride and Prejudice is between... Now, I'm going to read the first one, which I thought was a banging answer from Taylor. Aunt/Uncle Gardner. Happily married, respectable contrast to Bennet's. I hadn't even considered them when we asked this question.
Yeah. No, I think that is such a good point, and not one that I would have come up with myself. But it's true. They are the well-adjusted, happy, caring, doting couple that no one else exemplifies, and they become the dearest friends of Elizabeth and Darcy at the end for a reason, because they are a good example of what it means to be happily married.
Well, they're also, in many ways, one of the reasons that Darcy realizes that Elizabeth's family can be normal. You know, that like really it's just like her mom and her dad have issues, but like look at the rest of her family.
Yep.
Which I loved.
I do too.
I don't have anyone like that in my family.
Mm-hmm.
To be like, look, we're normal.
I'm sorry. You don't.
No, but I like them like that.
I am dying because 5 of the answers are Mr. Collins and exemplary boiled potatoes. That is the real romance.
That's how much people love the 2005. I mean, which, again, banging one. Because that's not in the book. Maybe I'm Mr. Collins. Maybe that's the next one. Because you know what I'm going to have for dinner after this? Potatoes.
Boiled potatoes?
Well, it depends. How many carbs do I have for the rest of the day? Oh, no.
Not enough.
27.
Oh.
That's not enough for boiled potatoes.
No, it's not. One of the other responses that surprised me was from Laura, the familial love between Lizzie and Mrs. Gardner. To some extent, Mrs. Gardner is the mother Lizzie probably wished she had.
Maybe the answer is just familial love, because at the end of the day, Elizabeth still loves her mother. She understands how kooky she is. She understands that there's a lot of issues. And even Lydia comes in and almost ruins the family. But she also understands, like, poor Lydia, she now has to live with Wickham forever. Like, that's not going to be a good man to her, not a good husband.
Yeah. And I think that's a great point, because in other stories, we assume the family will just disown the person who messes up.
We didn't ask anyone this, so this is just for us.
So, Jack, I'm going to ask you a question we did not ask our listeners, because I didn't want my feelings to be hurt.
Oh, do you have a strong opinion on this?
I think I do.
Wow.
So Colin Firth or Matthew McFadden?
Here's the thing. I've never felt more assured in life than the fact that Darcy's got a touch of the tism. I don't know. Okay, so Colin Firth, to me, is Darcy. Like that, he does the most accurate portrayal of Darcy that there is. Matthew McFadden is a total simp for her. And while I do love that, I think the Colin Firth Darcy is the Darcy that Elizabeth needs.
Yes. Yeah. I agree with you. And, you know, there's a reason why Colin Firth was cast as Darcy in Bridget Jones' Diary and all these things, because he is Darcy. He embodies Darcy for a lot of us. I agree. I think Matthew McFadden did a good job acting out Darcy the way he was written in the 2005 version. He looks too boyish.
Oh, it comes down to looks for you?
Comes down to looks for me.
Here I am. I'm like, the character and the portrayal and the... Okay, go ahead. Talk to me. Talk to me about the looks.
His nose isn't right.
As someone who's not into men.
As someone who's not into men.
Someone who's not into men and would not want to be with either man. Oh, which one would you sleep with?
Colin Firth.
Oh, is the nose right?
Yeah. Cue dramatic music and an ad. When I moved in with my partner is when I realized how much effort she puts into her skincare. She spends so much time and money just on what she puts on her skin. But the one thing she doesn't invest in is our bedding.
Well, that's because you're now investing in it with Boll and Branch.
From their organic cotton sheets to their breathable pillows and comforters, Boll and Branch makes their bedding with ultra clean materials that are gentle on the skin and free from harsh chemicals.
Boll and Branch really feels like my first grown-up sheets, and you can really feel the difference with their signature sheet sets. Remember, these sheets are touching you for up to 8 hours every single night. You're going to want to have the best sheets possible. Have you noticed that the pockets of the fitted sheets are perfect for forming around the mattress?
This is the first set of sheets that I haven't had to help my partner put them on the bed because the pockets are too small. They are so easy to get on the bed.
These are honestly the first pair of sheets that I have that I don't wake up with my sheets halfway wrapped around me. They are durable, they are soft, and the longer you use them, the softer they become.
Upgrade your sleep with Boll and Branch. Get 15% off your first order plus free shipping at bollandbranch.com/BookTok with code BookTalk, BookTalk.
That's Boll and Branch, BOLLAND, branch.com/BookTalk and use code BookTalk to unlock 15% off. Exclusions apply. Looks-wise or acting-wise?
Looks.
Obviously. No one is actually, Orlando Bloom is the only one who is able to be opposite her in a romantic way that like attractiveness just works, where I'm like, these are two hot people and I believe it.
I think there's a reason why they cast a George Wickham who looks like Orlando Bloom.
Yeah.
In the 2005 version. Because subliminally you want them to be together because it matches Elizabeth Swann. What's his name in Pirates?
Jonathan Taylor Thomas.
Will.
Yeah.
Jonathan Taylor.
I don't know where that came from. Okay, so on the flip side, Keira Knightley or
Jennifer Ellie? Oh, that one's hard. Are we basing it on looks or acting?
Acting! All of this was on acting or the portrayal of the characters. So I think that Keira Knightley has the more witty Elizabeth.
I actually disagree.
Oh, come at me. Let's go.
Jennifer L. has the more witty Elizabeth. I think Jennifer is more tongue-in-cheek. I think Keira Knightley is more sarcastic, scathing. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, I agree. So, like, Jennifer is more of like, kind of like, I'm watching you. Like, I see what's happening. She's more of an observer. Here's the thing. I think that Jennifer is more of an observer, while Keira Knightley is a participant without people knowing. And I think that's more Elizabeth is someone who is almost mean. Like, she's not mean, but like, she's almost sometimes too inside the joke. And Jennifer has moments like that because it's like a 6-hour adaptation and she's got to have moments like that. But I think that Keira Knightley, her version of Elizabeth, I'm not going to say is mean, but has that scathing. I think that's a right way of saying it. And I think currently I'm feeling spicy. And I as Elizabeth myself, I think it's because I relate more. Do you think I relate more to Keira Knightley Elizabeth or Jennifer Elizabeth?
I think you relate more to the Jennifer Elizabeth when you're truly pissed.
You're going to have to direct me to some scenes. I'm trying to remember what.
It's her delivery. She does it with a smile. and with a gay tone.
Yeah.
As they might say, that is more you.
Yeah. When Keira Knightley's Elizabeth is mad, it's like and I think she is more quick to anger, which is not Elizabeth.
Right. I think
you talked me out of it.
Yeah, I think Jennifer more embodies the tone of the actual book as it is written.
Yeah, you're right.
Whereas Keira Knightley is removed from that.
Which is why Matthew McFadden works with her so much, despite being a funny-looking man compared to her gorgeousness.
Yes.
With a man who just doesn't have the right nose.
He just doesn't. And maybe he shouldn't have blue eyes.
This is very specific of what you're aiming for.
I know, because I normally like men with blue eyes. But I was like, nope, you can't have blue eyes, sir.
Not Darcy. Do you feel like any adaptation that we've read or discussed this entire time, do you feel like it's changed any of the way that you've approached the book? I feel like for me, each one of them has changed a little bit. Like when I look at it as a whole.
Yeah, when I look at it as a whole, I can see... When did the Bollywood version come out?
9?
Was it 2009? Let me see.
4.
2004.
Wow.
My statement does not work with this chronologically. I was going to say I could see how the Matthew McFadden simp came from the Bollywood Darcy, because he's a little bit of a simp, but they wouldn't have come out in time for them to have, pulled from that.
I think what's funny is as a whole, it's made me appreciate that none of the variations other than the 95 has captured the essence of Pride and Prejudice. No, not just Darcy, Pride and Prejudice.
Pride and Prejudice. I agree. The only exception to that rule maybe is Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, but it's because it pulls so heavily from the original text.
You know what's funny? That's the one that I didn't read. For
really?
This. I didn't rewatch for this. It's been a minute. Let's review what the listener says on what the best Pride and Prejudice was for them. Reading with Randy says, I know biblically it's the 1995 Colin Firth miniseries, but it'll always be the 2005 Keira Knightley for me.
Mm-hmm.
That's the best way I can see someone that described. Yeah.
Rock and Rollins has a couple answers.
Okay.
The Mormon one or Lizzie Bennet Diaries. And then continues, I didn't know why people liked Darcy after I read the book until I saw the movie and saw he was hot.
That's hilarious. I'm happy that I hope that they're happy when we put out the episode and that we covered those adaptations.
Yeah, me too.
Tony wrote, I don't see Bridget Jones' Diary. The amount of times that I've seen Bridget Jones' Diary with my cousin is insane since we were far too young to be watching that movie.
Yeah. I didn't watch it until a couple of years ago for the first time.
Rebel.
I know. Yeah. I mean, I'm mostly seeing 2005. A Moment in Summer says, 2005, not the most accurate, but I dearly love it. And it's not 6 hours. Also, Matthew McFadden on the field. Yes, the last scene with Matthew McFadden walking across the field as dawn is breaking. Yes, it's very romantic.
Maybe tonight I'm going to renew my BBC subscription and start watching the Mary Bennet Diaries or whatever it's called, the Mary Bennet version. There's a new BBC version that is to do about Mary.
I did not know this.
Yeah, I'll let you know how it goes.
Yeah, please do.
Shout out Kenna, who says, not the best, but honorable mention, Lizzie Bennet Diaries. Truly. I feel like the people who mention Lizzie Bennet Diaries, they're in the know.
They were there for it.
It's one of those things where it's like, when you decide I'm going to watch the variations, you have to commit to it. I have not seen every variation. I haven't seen is it Laurence Olivier? I haven't seen the old school versions of him. It's been so long.
Rhiannon says, loved Lizzie Bennet Diaries. That was my first. Wow.
What a way to start.
Yeah.
What a way.
Wow, what a journey. I wish I could experience that.
I know I was pre-puberty watching the 95 version.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Remember being in the 6th grade and being sick and my mom's best friend saying, this is what we watch when we're sick, and putting on the BBC version.
Yep.
And that's what I watch when I'm sick.
Yeah. It was it was with my cousins and my aunt, and it was it must have been rainy or something, but it was hey, you need some. I think it was she had a bunch of kids, 5 kids to entertain, 4 of which were girls, and being okay, I'm going to put this on. And my cousin George he was so funny because he grew to appreciate it, but like he was the only boy, 5 girls, and we would be watching the 6-hour long version. And he's like, could we put something else on? It's like, no, this is what we're doing today and tomorrow. And then he'd just be like, go play in his room. And he goes, can you call me when it's my favorite scene? And his favorite scene was the one scene where Darcy and Bingley have their gun to go shoot at the birds, and we'd be like, your favorite scene's about to. He appreciates it now.
Okay, he better.
No, he does. He was like, poor kid was like 10.
Yeah, it's fair. He's just like, man, women.
I know. Like, do we have to? Do I have to be here?
Erica says Keira Knightley, although I really like the Greta Garbo version, even if it's kind of bad. That's the one from like the 30s or something.
Oh, okay. That's the one I haven't seen. Like, that's the thing.
That's the one I haven't seen.
If I want to be the true pretentious Pride and Prejudice fan that I know I can be, I need to watch every variation.
Yep.
And until then, am I even a fan?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. I think we should all be ashamed of ourselves.
Okay.
So before we read everyone's hot takes, do you have any hot takes? I feel like this entire podcast is us just throwing out hot takes.
Hot takes. Mary should have ended up with Colin.
Agreed.
The Mormon version did it right. Actually, the Mormon version put it in my head, and every time I reread, I'm always like, Mary, poor Mary. Let's see.
I mean, the Mormon version somewhat redeems Colin. Not really, but...
In my version, I redeem him.
You do redeem him in your version.
He's definitely a little autistic / Asperger's in my version.
Yeah.
He does end up with the Charlotte Lucas character, but Charlotte is non-binary, and he has to overcome his limited understanding of the world to be able to get there. But it's cute.
That's really sweet.
I think so.
What's my hot take? I think my hot take is just that not enough representation or understanding of the whole social class and economics of marriage is ever truly put into practice, or into the adaptations, into conversations, even the 1995 version, or even in any conversation that we hear online. I feel like we talked about it, but it's the fact that marriage is economy and the social status of everything and the struggles of that and what that means. Darcy did take a financial blow being with Elizabeth. Like, he could have been with someone to really elevate his money and guaranteed Pemberley. And not enough of these books or anything like that takes time to explore that, because then I think that would mean taking time to give Mrs. Bennet more sympathy when she's so easy to be the butt of the joke.
Right. Well, and this is a story about privileged people written for privileged people. That's the other thing. And I think it's easy to forget that, like, the Bennets aren't low class per se. They still have servants. They're not destitute.
Yeah.
So they are sitting in a place of privilege, and Jane Austen is writing for people who understand those societal norms. So A, I think that can be lost on readers, especially new readers. B, it masks a lot of the problems of the time, like true societal problems of the time, and focuses on humor, which is why we enjoy it, but it is not true to real life necessarily.
Yeah. And I think in many ways, Jane Austen pokes fun of that.
Yeah.
I think Jane Austen was aware of that. And I think some of her writing kind of is so ridiculous, like, of the scenarios and the characters, that it is just kind of like a poking of like some kind of like meta self-awareness going on. However,
I think if you don't know that context, it's easy to miss the tongue-in-cheek.
Yeah, it's very easy to miss the tongue-in-cheek. And the tongue-in-cheek really pokes fun at privilege. I mean, it's white privilege, but that's not even like it's so, the whole like white only is such an intense concept that it's like, obviously only white privilege. I hope that more modern variations are willing to explore on that. I think Pride and Prejudice is a great example of exploration of colonialism and race. But Jane Austen was writing, pointing out different privileges and talking, and like that's like huge subtext within the whole novel that is wrapped nicely and neatly in a funny, clever, witty, romantic story. But I just wish that there would be an adaptation or a conversation or something that was willing to give light to that concept of privilege.
Yeah. Yeah.
And again, and it's not like, and that concept is not, oh, Darcy is privileged and Elizabeth isn't. No, it's the fact that they're all fucking privileged.
They are.
You know, it's like making fun of Elizabeth and pointing out her own flaws as well. Okay. Miss Northcutt says, Mrs. Bennet wasn't wrong and in a deeply difficult marriage with someone who didn't actually love her.
Yeah. I think I only realized this most recent read.
Yeah. Rock and Rollins says, I have an English degree, but I hate Jane Austen. I can't stand her writing style.
Oh, I can't say anything. It's not like I've read all of her novels. I've only read 3 of them.
I would be curious to see, like, do you mean the writing style of Jane Austen or the writing style of the time or the writing style? You know what I mean? Because,
yeah,
I mean, when you look at like Wuthering Heights, that writing style is rough because it's meant to sound like the way people speak. And I struggled with that. Also, like, the time is just different. But I'm curious. Obviously, like, she says that she's an English degree. So I'm curious to see what that would mean more.
I would say the writing style of Emma and Pride and Prejudice is different from the style of Persuasion and probably Mansfield Park, from what I remember. I started reading it.
Hard for me.
Yeah. So I think it also depends on which Jane Austen book you're talking about.
That's fair. So Amber says, every bookish girl thinks she's Elizabeth. We can't all be. Also see Hermione and Belle. But I am Elizabeth.
But you are Belle. But you are in Gryffindor.
Is any of this wrong?
Maybe.
Which one?
I still question Gryffindor.
I mean, other than Slytherin.
You wouldn't sacrifice yourself for me if you had to dive into a pit of snakes, would you?
Yes.
No, you wouldn't.
I am so insulted.
I'm doing it on purpose.
How dare you question my love and my devotion to you? When we were in New York and I was like, careful from the edge, people might push. And you said something about like, oh, well, if someone pushes, and I looked at you and I was like, I would kill them. And I said it with the most like, and I would, you know what? I wouldn't even blink an eye, like bat an eye. I'd be like,
I tease.
How dare you?
This is the only way I can get reactions out of you for the podcast that are genuine.
Because I'm just so cool and calm every other time. Miss Erin says, Darcy definitely seems a little autistic. Someone else sees it. Chloe, Lizzie would hate having to run that big house with all that staff.
I know. She'd probably just be like, housekeeper, I trust you. It's all up to you.
I'm going to delegate. I'm going to go for a walk. Goodbye.
Yep.
When Jess says, Mr. B is a bad father. He loves Lizzie, but takes little to no action for the girl's security. He's a shit father. He's a shit father.
And both Jane and Elizabeth enable that behavior because he loves them.
Again, it comes down to privilege. Like, Elizabeth allows her sisters to be treated poorly because she gets the privilege of being treated nicely from her father.
Right.
It's a story of privilege in every form. And then several people said that they hated it and DNF'd it. I know. But I will say there were a number of people in comments to videos that we posted that asked, like, do I need to have read the book and to listen to these episodes? To which I said, no. I mean, so long as, like, you're fine with spoilers and, like, the general ideas, like, you've watched something, you understand the zeitgeist of it.
Fiction Fan did say that she hasn't read the book yet, so she's listening to our episodes, and then we'll decide whether or not she wants to go read it.
But at least this way, I like to imagine that this is, like, you don't, after listening to us, you still don't have to have read it, but you get to have a little bit more of a hotty-toddy response if anyone wants to say something. You know what I mean? Like, if anyone wants to, like, sass you, you can just go back at them and be like, well, does it actually discuss social criticism and the various types of privilege? I mean, it should basically be called Pride, Prejudice, or Privilege, you know?
True. So my version, working title is Pride and Other Presumptions, but what if it's Privilege?
I don't know. Oh,
and
maybe.
Other Presumptions.
I think you'd have to crank up the privilege aspect, but also you'd have to decide, because every variation's different. Is Elizabeth flawed? Is Darcy flawed? Or are they both flawed?
That's one of those things that after we talked about it, I was like, do I need to add more flaws?
And they're both
They're both flawed.
Look, from what I've read, Darcy's flawed. You don't have to worry about that.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
It's like, or is it going to be the Keira Knightley where, Darcy's kind of the flawed one and Elizabeth is right, which is fine, but you just have to start. I don't think you have to add flaws. I think you explore the flaws. I think the flaws are there.
Elizabeth's flaws are not about, in my book, Elle's flaws are surround her family, not her relationship with Darcy.
And that's flaws are flaws, I mean, Elizabeth's flaws are around Wickham and, thinking that she understands that. So, I mean, but I think it's the questioning, where does it land? Where does it land? So, I hope everyone likes this. That's all.
And if you haven't read Pride and Prejudice and you choose to go read Pride and Prejudice, tell us what you think after you've done that reading.
Yeah. All right.
All right. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Academia Unlocked with Book Talk for Book Talk with Jack and Amy.
If you're enjoying the show, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. It really helps other readers find us. And of course, we'd love to hear what you thought of today's episode. Share your comments through our forum at booktalkforbooktalk.com, and we might feature your feedback in a future mini episode or in a Patreon exclusive episode.
For merch and more ways to support the show, head to booktalkforbooktalk.com. You can also follow us on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube at the handle BookTalk for Book Talk. And don't forget to join us by subscribing to the Subtext Society Journal.substack.com to get more insights into the romantasy and romance genres.
Bye.
Bye.
Struggling to find the right metabolic wellness support, even when you're doing everything right, has been one of the most frustrating things for me in my health journey.
I've tried other metabolic wellness support providers, and I often feel rejected rather than supported by the process.
That's because Brello is focused on long-term health, longevity, and performance, not quick fixes.
Brello is designed for people who want a more sustainable approach to their metabolic wellness support. Their support helps you focus on habits, education, and structure alongside provider oversight.
Getting my GLP-1 through Brello has been so easy. They make it so effortless, and they provide all the support I need through their app.
Their app is one of a kind in my book because it allows you to track progress, manage reminders, and stay on top of renewals. And if you're like me, managing the renewals is the hardest part.
Everything is managed online, making it easier to stay consistent over time, and medications are delivered to your door. They're so transparent with their pricing with one flat monthly cost. Go to BrelloHealth.com to see if you qualify and explore their GLP-1 plans, starting at $133 per month for your first 3 months, plus access to their app, community, and wellness classes. That's BRELLO health.com.
Any information provided is for informational purposes only and should not be construed as medical advice. It is not a substitute for professional medical consultation, diagnosis, or treatment. All patients must consult with a healthcare provider prior to the prescription or dispensing of any medication, which will be done only pursuant to a valid prescription. Compounded drug products are not FDA approved, and the FDA does not evaluate their safety, effectiveness, or quality. Patients are encouraged to discuss the risks, benefits, and appropriateness of any medications, including compounded products, with their healthcare provider before use.
Amy, we were just in New York for BookCon, and did you notice that all of the New York girlies were wearing Quince?
You're so right. They were stylish, street appropriate, but also business casual.
It's amazing how I was spotting some of Quince's staple pieces on the street. I can always spot one of their Mongolian cashmeres from a mile away because it's always so soft and so nice. Quince really spends time on making sure they give you the best quality clothing they can with premium materials like 100% European linen, organic cotton, and ultra soft denim.
Their styles make getting dressed simpler. They make me feel effortless, comfortable, and still put together with tops that start at just $30. You can't beat that for work.
Everything at Quince is priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. They work directly with ethical factories and cut out the middlemen, so you're paying for quality and craftsmanship, not brand markup.
Refresh your everyday with luxury you'll actually use. Head to quince.com/booktalk for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada too.
That's QUINCE.com/booktalk, BOOKTALK, for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/booktalk.
When I moved in with my partner is when I realized how much effort she puts into her skincare. She spends so much time and money just on what she puts on her skin. But the one thing she doesn't invest in is our bedding.
Well, that's because you're now investing in it with Boll and Branch.
From their organic cotton sheets to their breathable pillows and comforters, Boll and Branch makes their bedding with ultra-clean materials that are gentle on the skin and free from harsh chemicals.
Boll and Branch really feels like my first grown-up sheets, and you can really feel the difference with their signature sheet sets. Remember, these sheets are touching you for up to 8 hours every single night. You're going to want to have the best sheets possible. Have you noticed that the pockets of the fitted sheets are perfect for forming around the mattress?
This is the first set of sheets that I haven't had to help my partner put them on the bed because the pockets are too small. They are so easy to get on the bed.
These are honestly the first pair of sheets that I have that I don't wake up with my sheets halfway wrapped around me. They are durable, they are soft, and the longer you use them, the softer they become.
Upgrade your sleep with Boll and Branch. Get 15% off your first order plus free shipping at bollandbranch.com/booktalk with code BookTalk, BOOKTALK.
That's Boll and Branch, BOLLAND, branch.com/BOOKTALK, and use code BookTalk to unlock 15% off. Exclusions apply.